Mark is once again facing off against a big foe in this episode, whilst also learning about the real world, and this will truly lead to both his body and mind being... Let's talk about it. There will be spoilers ahead, so come back after you have watched it.
They made too much noise playing and woke me up.
In this episode, we see that Titan is coming face to face with Liu and the Order, after having failed to break out multiple times. Multiple also has this really gruesome attempt at escaping, but he is captured using a collar. Mark and Eve also plan on getting a new apartment after an awkward morning conversation with Debbie and Oliver, where everyone knows that Mark was splitting Eve's atoms. And so Mark and Eve decide to make money. So Eve does this by creating invincible ink. Basically, she's renting the superhero security of Invincible to a prison for some money. Then we see that Titan is trying to outsmart Liu, and he goes to Machine Head for help. He also tries to get Mark's help, but Mark is torn between helping a criminal and putting him away. But with the Titan at the head of the gang, crime in his neighborhood has drastically decreased, so he is kind of a good guy. Plus they did threaten his daughter, so it makes sense. But this all leads to a mass prison breakup with Liu becoming a dragon. Then Mark and Eve fight the dragon Liu. Eve manages to stop every prisoner from breaking out, but Machine Head does escape and kills Liu and becomes the new leader of the Order. Multiple also does a fake out switcheroo and escapes as well. Titan then retires from his life as Mafia Boss number 1, but still has control over his town. And then we see that Oliver is sneaking out at night, but not to fight crime, but instead to hang out with friends. Mark then follows him, thinking that Oliver might accidentally hurt someone, and we all think that's what will happen. But when these bullies show up, he doesn't kill them, but instead pantses them. And Mark realizes that maybe they shouldn't get an apartment, and Debbie tells Mark that as an adult you realize
that nothing is ever black and white,
which is the main lesson Mark needs to learn throughout the show. But since he's only 19, he can be forgiven. Ray and Rex also have a dinner, with Rex having made a home-cooked meal, and their love blossoms. We also see that Liu is alive and will probably return. Now this episode overall was okay. I mean, yes, seeing them deviate from the main story is kind of annoying, and we are all waiting for a certain character's arrival, but we do need these side journeys with these side characters, otherwise the show will be too serious and stale. I mean, there are a lot of interesting things that this episode sets up, like the fact that Titan is no longer the crime boss and Machine Head is the leader of the Order, which will probably lead to some more chaos later down the line. Or the fact that Mark is slowly finding out about adult life, and that not everything is what it seems at first, like with what Debbie says, or even what Titan is doing. Like, he's doing crimes, but he's also improved the city, but Mark is still fixated on the fact that he's done crimes, so he must pay. And Mark's not wrong either. I think that what this show does really well is that it introduces these insane philosophical questions about superheroes into the superhero genre, outside of just epic world-shattering battles, and more superhero projects do need this. But nevertheless, this did feel like a fill episode, and so the tension and the emotional connections that the main story has is lacking here, and so this episode gets a 6 out of 10. Subscribe and comment below your thought.